Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Do you know where we are this time? You won't believe it. Look here. Oh my God. We're in Madeira. Actually, we're not on the island of Madeira, although I have been here and fished here. We are on the next best thing. We're in a Madeira named big caravan in the St Aldridge Bay Holiday Park, which we love. We come down here to do the shore fishing with Craig Butler, West Coast Tackle. And you want to just have a quick look inside these caravans, because if you stay here, they let you fish on their little bit of private access beach. You can't get down there normally, but if you want to stay here, you can fish the beach. We've done films on it. We're just going to have a quick peek in this caravan. Come and have a look. Now, I've got a touring caravan that sleeps 4, but this is not a touring caravan. This is a proper caravan. This is a caravan with a view like no other. Just check this out, people. Down there, codling, smoothhounds, definitely congers, everything you could want, whiting, bass. And today, they even ordered us a special dose of British sunshine. Will it last? No. Better leave the boots off for going in this one, people. Family owned and set in 20 secluded acres, St Aldridge Bay Holiday Park lies in an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's actually located right underneath the Quantock Hills and close to Exmoor. It's an ideal location for anyone who likes outdoor pursuits, in particular fishing. They offer fully equipped caravans, even comfortable chalets. I've stayed in those as well, they're great fun. Plus pitches for tents, caravans and motorhomes. If you add to that a licensed bar, a restaurant, entertainment and a swimming pool, though it's not stocked with fish, you can see why we like the St Aldridge Bay area. It's just a great location for shore fishing. But of course, aside from having a location where you can walk down those cliffs and just go shore fishing, you can actually go boat fishing as well, because nearby is a marina where we aim to get out and at least take a crack and see what is out there in the Bristol Channel. But for this edition of Spring Tide, we were leaving from the nearby Watchet Marina aboard the top boat Scooby-Doo 2, run by skipper Steve Yandel. It's a handy little marina and the fishing is extremely close to shore, and helping us on this trip, joining us with his fish catching ability, was expert angler Darren Neeshaw, who'd already taken the trouble to dig some 3 pounds of fresh lug just for this trip alone. Now that's what I call enthusiasm. As for tackle, I was experimenting by using fixed spool reels on Uptide rods, quite light rods actually, just shore spinning rods that you would use fishing off rocks into deep water, but I found them pretty good fun when you're using them just for catching, well, small to medium fish, Uptide fishing. On the other hand, Darren was really geared up with proper Uptide multipliers, rods. He had all the equipment. He was ready to rock and roll. I had the feeling he'd be a good angler. It turned out he was, in fact, well, pretty much a cod catching machine. Scooby-Doo 2 is a pretty big boat. It's a bullet, and it doesn't actually have to go very far. As bullets go, it goes just outside the harbour, and Mike started filming. It wasn't much after that we actually got to put the anchor down. But Steve is a master at finding those little channels, those little nooks and crannies and bits on the bottom that all fishermen yearn to find out where the fish are. He seems to know them on first name terms. And he loves his gizmo and gadgets. He's got everything, and this was a new bit of equipment he had there, electronics, helping him to put us on the fish. We anchored up, and there you can see a huge selection of bait getting ready for the session. Fresh lugworm. Now note guys that Darren does not keep his fresh lugworm in paper, he keeps them alive in water, and he also uses different types of squid as well. There you can see the lugworm really fresh. He's a great believer in getting all that juice out in the water of the Bristol Channel. So while Steve gets over possibly the biggest bruise anchor I've ever seen and more stainless steel than I can ever afford, we were getting ready for fishing. But look at this tube effect he's got. The chain comes out of the tube and the rope coils around the outside of the tube. Now, that's what I call clever. You small boat guys should be looking at that one. Okay lads, well we're anchored in 13 metres of water. We're just off the coast here. Big spring tide, so yeah, we're tucking in short to pass the maximum ebb period. And away you go, anchors holding, and best of luck to you all.
Yeah, the lug, obviously for scent fishing you really want the fresh lug if you can get it. So I mean, I generally pick my own bait. I think you see the quality's a lot better, like, you know, than something that you may buy that's been tanked for a while. But failing that, bought lugs is, you know, is a good substitute. But for me, that's the only way forward is fresh dug bait. So this was dug yesterday down on the River Ex. When you dig yourself, you can tend to keep all the broken bits as well.
You're certainly going for bear there.
This is a different type of lead now for uptiding, so obviously this one goes above, up towards the top of the anchor. That lets the fish then, as it takes it, release it into a big bow. Then you want to try and get it away from the boat if you can, because it stops any of the noise of the boat affecting the fishing below in shallow water.
Guys, I'm going to be trying a sardine, a real gunky, because I know that the smell is a lot of the key down here. And we were going pike fishing for big fight, got blown off. You think I'm going to waste these baits? Absolutely no way. And you never know what's going to pick one up. You know me in Conga. Because of the tide, I'm going to fish it nose in to the tide there, so hopefully it won't spin. Just experiment, and it could be quite a bit of scent off of that. But I fear the worms are the ones that's going to get the fish there. You can see over the side what colour this water is, and I suppose it's going to be more muddy, is it, Darren, the more tide? If you get spring tide, does it ever go clear?
Yeah,
at all?
no, well, on the very neat tide it doesn't go clear, but it'll give you sort of a foot of visibility.
Today the forecast is a southwesterly 5 to 6. And that's until 1500 this afternoon, and I mean that's a cancelling wind for, you know, many south coast locations. That would be a cancelling wind, but here we're surrounded by hillside and high cliffs, and being a channel, it means that we can get out here on this type of forecast and fish, as you can see, in flat seas, and we get the day where other places might not.
Well, Darren was specialising in fishing with those lovely fresh lugworms. I, on the other hand, was going loaded for bear, and I was using double or triple squid, lobbing it out for whatever was about at the time. I figured Darren certainly had the left-hand side of the boat covered with those lugworm baits, and that was possibly where the cod were going to come from, but I wanted to go with something a bit bigger and just see what's there. Of course, those lovely fresh lugworms did the trick. Darren soon into first fish of the day.
Number one. Okay, we'll let that one go.
I mean, there's your proof that no matter what size of the bait you got, it ain't too big for a cod. I mean, that cod's, what's it, 5-6 inches, and it's taking a bait actually bigger than itself. And in effect that adds to the bait anyway. Some of the biggest cod I've had have actually taken a little cod like that, or a little whiting. So, you know, it's not always a bad thing to have it on, but we're going to let this little baby go anyway. And I'm going to catch him in a few years' time. For the bait, obviously, because you know, you want to keep a big bait, I don't rip all that off. I mean, that's still got plenty of guts in. You can see all the guts oozing out there. So just take a few more worms, just stick a few more on, and just add to it as opposed to getting rid of. Don't need to go nuts. And also use the tails as well. A lot of people take tails off, but they're full of juice. And when you're digging your own, it all adds up. Another tip I do, as the bait's been out there a couple of times now, I'll pull that off, I'll put it on my bait tray, then when I put my squid on, I'll wrap that to my squid, because that's still got some scent, so it's just adding to the squid, so it's just a bit more scent on, you know, it's just a cocktail if you like, it's just adding to it all the time. Yeah, so basically these bits of worms that we ripped off previously, because they've still got a bit of scent in, we stick that in with the squid now. And common problem with the squid is obviously it sliding down on the hooks and masking up the hook point. So it's an easy solution, the old baiting elastic. Just twirl it on. Also, because we've got the dirty water, we're not looking for bait presentation, we're looking more for scent, so you don't have to worry about making it look like a gourmet meal for the fish. What you have got to worry about is getting that hook point, so that if the fish does take it, you are definitely getting into it. So just make sure you've got loads of elastic around that hook point, work your way up through. Keeping all them bits of lugworm that you've ripped off tidy. Keep it nice and streamlined. Snap it off. Get your hook from your pennel. Bring it back down, a couple of twists around. Again, making sure the hook point's out. So you've got hook point and hook point. And that's a perfect Bristol Channel cod bait. And always remember your towel.
Here on Scooby-Doo 2, we're using a technique, well, it's sort of a cross between boat casting up tide and just standard boat casting. The idea is to get your lead away from what's called the footprint of the boat. That's the noise that it makes slapping on the water in shallow water, and also, let's say, the buzzing or vibration set up by the tide ripping through the anchor rope line. It all sets up vibrations. It all could possibly frighten the fish. Don't forget, lash those rods down, because if you get a big Bristol Channel cod, there's every chance your rod is going over the side of the boat. And how big do they grow? I think Steve told me they were the biggest ever recorded, something like 48 pounds, and 30 pounders are nearly always possible each season. Somebody will get one, so make sure, Mike, you tie that rod down, because it's Dad's. Darren's tips and that fresh lugworm seem to be paying dividends. It was cod corner, that's what he's got on that side of the boat. But I've seen it happen before. Absolutely fresh lugworm is just so different to that which you buy papered. I think the paper must soak out most of the juices. In fact, when you think about it, I suppose really you might as well throw the worms away and put the paper on the hook, because all the good juice, and I think it's amino acids that they have in those lugworm, a lot of that gets soaked up in the paper. If you keep your worms in natural salt water, it keeps them fresh, it keeps those juices inside, you get them on your hook.
We're on a half to low water and we've lost the current now. Even on this 12-metre tide the current has disappeared, so it's time to have a move. And here on the Bristol Channel it won't be distance that we move, but it'll be just a different part of the reef, a little bit more depth and a little bit more current is what we're looking for. I'll show you on the tablet here what we're doing. Okay, this is an electronic chart and Watchet Harbour's down here, and as you can see we came out when the tide was screaming, and we've got this ledge, it's a reef running all the way down through here, and we anchored the boat just off. The water was coming in round here, going back away again, so we anchored the boat just nicely in the middle of that little contour there, and sat on the sandstone coral, which is why all your leads have been gripping so well. And the fish move with the tide's going out at the moment, and the fish move down along this ledge. So our next move now is going to be literally 200 or 300 yards. There's our next drop off, okay, down through there, and we're just going to reposition the boat from there out to here somewhere. A little bit more tide, a little bit more depth of water, and hopefully with a little bit more tide, more oxygenation of the water, the fish will be feeding over the slack tide. Then once the tide starts flooding back in again, we'll be overpowered on this huge tide, and we'll come back in here somewhere later on.
Yeah, basically just had a bite there, and what we were saying earlier about the small fish being good bait, there's your proof. Yeah, that one was lost unfortunately, but hell of a bite. So small fish took the bait, big fish took the small fish. Basically, when you caught your cod, obviously to keep it in best condition while you're on the boat, I eat a lot of fish, catch a lot of fish hopefully. Best thing to do is give it a clunk on the head with the old quieter downer, just to take it out of its misery. Then if you just get a pair of scissors or a knife and just cut in through there, like that, and then you just want that blood. You just want that blood to start pouring out, because what happens then is when you do fillet the fish later on, that blood's not going into the meat of the fish. Okay, so yeah, that's done. And that's one for the tea later.
No pressure.
Well, there we go. My first Bristol Channel codling. Not the biggest for me, but absolutely chuffed still. Save the blank.
Just get the picture.
Yeah. There you go.
That's good.
Two together. Two together.
Brilliant.
We're not saying how many Darren's catching, but
Yeah.
we've definitely got a film
Yeah.
to which Mike has contributed and Dad hasn't contributed anything.
Every now and again I get the opportunity to throw a line down myself, and I'm afraid there's no appeal to me to be cranking fish in all day long. I like to choose to fish very light, and in doing so you don't have to spend a fortune. This rod here, which I've had so much pleasure with, is a Leader Assassin. I paid £25 for it, and as you can see, I don't use a grip lead, I use one of these little watch leads. Okay, Nothing to dig into, never lost one from the point of view of sticking on the seed bed. It's always rigged perfectly, and it can break away and grip back again. And the gripping power of that lead is unbelievable. It's something I just found by accident one day, messing about out here. That's an 8-ounce one, and well, I've never fished with grip lead since. Okay, I'm not saying on the highest of high tides, when the tide's running at its maximum, the lead will be washed away, but anything reasonable conditions, and that's the way I do it. And there we are. I've just baited a little bit of lugworm, single 6/0 Uptiding Viking hook, and it's not about distance. 20-30 yards out from the boat, and we've done it. And 2 or 3 pound codling on that rod there. Fantastic sport, absolutely fantastic. You should try it.
While Darren was ploughing his way, much to our embarrassment, through those cod shoals, my big baits did eventually come up with a bigger fish. Of course, if you use big baits, you've got to be prepared to sit it out and wait. But everything held together, fixed ball hold together, my light Uptiding rods, brackets, shore fishing rods, did the trick, gave me some good sport, and here we go, a nice thornback in the net.
Talk about a profit, we've got our own profit down here. Darren says, this is a good time coming up slack water to catch rays, and that's exactly what it was. Did I know it was a ray? Actually no, I thought it went underneath the boat and I thought I got somebody else's line. But a nice thornback there. And you can see what he's eaten. Absolutely chewed his way up there, hook's just in there. Hooks come straight out like that. See his little crushing molars there. And I guess, I don't know, with this brownness here, you can actually see the silt from the bottom. Look, it comes off. All the mud where he's been feeding on the bottom. All that silt in there. Let's get him back.
Well, there we go. First Bristol Channel ray for me, thornback ray. And this was on the old sardine, the spare pike bait that we had chucked out there. Quite a good take actually.
What's that mark? What's that thing on the
There's a little
side?
bit of plastic there. And it looks like I think it's a little tag.
Is it a tag, is it?
It's got some writing on the side. I think it's a little tag there, so let's have a look at that.
That's going to be a first for the
That's
totally awesome.
It's a good fish though.
Nice fish, yeah.
Yeah, nice fish. And it was, yeah, really good take. They're happy with that.
Right, tag number TO448. It was tagged by Swansea University, and they've got their telephone number of 01792 295 361 on that tag. Right, so basically what we were saying before about squid and tying it on and it being a bit of a nightmare, especially with cold hands, to get it off. So what I do, I just unhook the clip one, top one, pull that one through, get my scissors, there you go, my scissors again, cut that off, slide that straight out, throw that bait, this ground bait, over the side, just make sure there's no line left on there. There's a 2-second knot, even with cold hands, just through, round, back round, back round. Job's done, ready for a new bait. No need to try and strip anything off the hook. Makes it a lot easier, less chance of getting a hook in your finger, and with cold hands is the way forward. So yeah, basically what I'm using is Uptiding with these two rods. I've got a zip slider which just runs freely up and down the main line there. Okay, and on the main line I've got what I call a shock leader, but that's not so much for casting but for the abrasive bottom. That's £50. Then swivel, then a panel rig, probably 1.5 foot a trace. Okay, 5-hole hooks on the panel rig. It's as simple as that. The fish takes it, doesn't feel the weight, just pulls the line through the zip slider like that, and off it goes and gives you your bite. So yeah, happy days. The lead, they come, these are multiple changeable leads, so you can use different types of bottoms. You just unscrew them like that and screw them up. They come at 210. We're using big tide here today, spring tide, but you can get them to whatever size you want, 4, 5 ounce, 6 ounce, 7 ounce leads, up to 8 ounces. You cast them up against the tide, let a boa line in your Uptider, and then when the fish takes it, obviously you trip the lead running down the tide, and then you get a slap line bite. And that's basically how it works. And hopefully you're away with a cod.
Well, there you go. You got some great, totally awesome tips from Darren Neeshaw, who really does know how to boat fish, no question of that. Get yourself down to Watcher Marina, get aboard Scooby-Doo 2, give it a go. We hope you got tips, techniques, tackle. We hope you got something out of this first edition of Spring Tide. We hope you've enjoyed it, and keep watching the totally awesome fishing show. There's going to be some more Spring Tides coming soon.